The Lord just whispered your name to his angelic army. Archangel Michael says your case was reopened in heaven's court. Read what happens next. My beloved child, something extraordinary just happened in the heavenly realms. While the world slept and silence covered the earth, a divine whisper echoed across eternity. Your name. The Lord himself spoke it softly, yet it thundered through the heavens. The moment that sacred sound reached the throne, the angelic army turned their gaze toward you. And leading them was Archangel Michael, his armor gleaming like 1,000 suns, his sword drawn not for battle on earth, but for a trial in heaven's court. Your trial. For a long time, your name had been sealed. Your case closed as if destiny itself had gone silent. But tonight a new decree was issued. Heaven has reopened your case, and this time it's not to judge you. It's to redeem you. Michael steps forward, wings spread wide, and bows before the throne. Lord, he says, his voice resonating like thunder yet filled with compassion. This one has endured storms unseen, battles unknown, and pain unspoken. The time has come for restoration. And then something unbelievable happens. The book of destiny opens on its own. Pages flutter wildly, glowing with divine fire, until one page stops your page. The egg began to move, writing what once was written. Where there were words of delay, heaven now writes deliverance. Where there was sorrow, now it says restoration. As the angels look upon the page, a deep hush fills the court. A sound of chains breaking echoes in the distance, the sound of spiritual verdicts being overturned. The Lord raises his hand, and a golden light floods the entire chamber. My beloved, he says, I am not done with you. What was denied will now be released. Suddenly, a divine scroll appears before Michael. The title on it glows brighter than lightning: Case reopened, Judgment for restoration. He takes it and looks straight toward the earth, toward you. His voice whispers through the wind, prepare yourself. What heaven has begun cannot be stopped. And even as you hear this message now, something within you stirs, a recognition, a knowing that this message is for you, not coincidence, not chance. It's divine timing. Heaven has chosen this exact moment to let you know the wait is over. The trial of your life is about to turn in your favor. The angels are assembling. The divine gavel is about to fall. And when it does, everything will change. Don't look back now. Don't lose faith. You are being mentioned in the highest court of all. Something greater than you imagined is already in motion. Stay till the end, because the next revelation will shake your soul. My beloved child, as the echoes of your name faded through the halls of heaven, Archangel Michael lifted the scroll high before the throne. A brilliant beam of light descended upon it, sealing it with divine authority. The seal bore the mark of the eternal King, a symbol of justice, mercy, and unbreakable promise. In that instant, heaven's court, filled with billions of radiant beings, stood in reverent silence. Every angel knew something rare was unfolding, a heavenly reversal that only occurs when divine favor intervenes for one chosen soul. And that chosen soul was you. Michael's wings spread wide, each feather shimmering with flames of celestial fire. He turned toward the legions awaiting command, his voice rang out with the might of creation itself. Prepare the way for restoration. The decree of deliverance had been signed. The Lord has spoken. This soul shall rise again. The entire court erupted in holy thunder. Trumpets of light sounded. The walls of heaven glowed with an intensity unseen since the day of resurrection. Far below, on the earth, your spirit began to feel what your eyes could not yet see. A stirring deep within, a sudden peace, a warmth that seemed to wrap around your weary heart. It wasn't your imagination. It was the touch of heaven's movement beginning to manifest. What you thought was silence was actually heaven working behind the veil, rearranging your destiny piece by piece. Michael descended through the realms, moving faster than time. As he passed through the stars, he whispered a prayer for you. Not a prayer of protection this time, but a declaration of reinstatement. Every delay, he said, must now bow before divine order. Every accusation spoken against this child shall now be silenced by truth. The words carried power, slicing through darkness, reaching into the very atmosphere around you. The unseen chains that once restrained your progress began to tremble. Suddenly, the winds around you shift, a change in the unseen. Archangel Gabriel appears beside Michael, carrying a golden trumpet, not of warning, but of announcement. The Lord has decreed restoration, Gabriel proclaims. Sound the call across the nations. Let the earth know what was closed has been reopened by divine decree. The trumpet blast reverberates through dimensions, touching souls, stirring hearts, lining circumstances. Somewhere, someone who had forgotten your name suddenly remembers you. Somewhere, a door you thought was locked forever begins to creak open. And yet, even in that divine motion, the adversary watches. Shadows gather in protest, whispering, "Not this one, not again." They recall the many trials you've endured, the setbacks, the pain, the nights of tears. But heaven's decree cannot be overturned by darkness. Michael's sword blazes with holy fire as he cuts through the accusations one by one, every false claim, every curse, every word meant to destroy you burns to ash. The heavenly record is cleared. In that moment, the Lord speaks again, his voice calm yet commanding. This child has been tested in fire and has not fallen away. Therefore, let the verdict stand, restoration and release. A rush of wind fills the court, carrying divine energy that surges through the galaxies. On earth, miracles begin to align, messages you've waited for start to move toward you. People are stirred to help you. Opportunities begin to form where there was only emptiness. But there's more, my beloved child. The Lord doesn't just reopen cases to give back what was lost. He reopens them to give double. What was stolen will be returned multiplied. The delays that frustrated you were never denials. They were divine pauses waiting for the exact hour heaven would act. And that hour is now. Archangel Michael looks toward you once more. You do not fight alone, he declares. The heavenly army hath been dispatched. Every angel assigned to your destiny is now moving on your behalf. Suddenly, the air around him glows with thousands of wings, angels taking flight, carrying scrolls of restoration, healing, favor, and divine justice. Each one carries a piece of your answered prayer. In that sacred moment, Michael bends his knee once more before the throne. He is done, he says. And the Lord smiles. Then let it be written across the heavens, he replies, that this child will rise. No accusation shall stand. No end shall prevail. The sentence of sorrow had been overturned. Far below, your heart begins to beat with new strength. You may not see it yet, but your spirit feels it. The shift, the turn, the heavenly order realigning everything in your favor. Every unanswered prayer is now echoing in heaven's chamber, written by divine mercy. And if you are hearing these words, it is not by coincidence. The same angels that heard your name whispered are now surrounding you. You are standing in the middle of divine movement, the kind that only happens once in a lifetime. The verdict has been sealed. The case has been won. Heaven's gavel has fallen, and your breakthrough has already begun its descent. But don't move away yet, because what's coming next will reveal why your case was reopened, and what heaven is preparing to release over your life. Before we continue, take one moment, share this message, comment your Amen, and subscribe so that this divine word reaches others whose hearts are waiting for their own verdict. You never know who might need to hear that heaven hasn't forgotten them. Hold your heart steady, keep your eyes lifted, and remember, heaven's court is not done speaking. Something massive is about to unfold. Something miraculous is about to find you. Don't skip. What happens next will leave you speechless. My beloved child, as the heavens settled after the divine decree, the brilliance of the throne room softened into a golden haze. The angels began to move with purpose, forming radiant pathways that reached from eternity straight into the mortal realm. In the center of that light stood Archangel Michael, still holding the scroll of your restoration, but now his expression had changed from fierce determination to holy awe. It was as though even he could sense that something greater than victory was about to unfold. Michael turned his gaze toward the earth, and before his eyes, visions appeared, scenes of your journey, your pain, your long nights of silence, every moment where you thought heaven had forgotten you. Yet within each tear, he saw something glowing. Faith that refused to die. It was this faith that had reopened your case. It was not your perfection, nor your strength, but your unbroken belief that even in the dark, God was still writing your story. Heaven does not forget faith like that. It treasures it. It magnifies it. And now, as your name echoed through realms of light, the Lord rose from his throne once more. Bring forth the record of blessings withheld, he commanded. An angel of remembrance stepped forward, carrying a scroll so vast that even the stars seemed to bow before it. These, the angel said, are the promises once delayed, promotions, healings, reconciliations, divine opportunities, and breakthroughs that waited for the appointed hour. The Lord touched the scroll, and immediately, light began to spill from it like a river, flowing into the scroll Michael held. Each drop of that light represented a prayer, a cry, a dream you thought was born. They merged into your decree until it glowed brighter than anything in heaven's court. Meanwhile, in the unseen realm around you, the air begins to change. You sense it, though you cannot see it. A strange peace falls over your heart. Not the peace that comes from understanding, but the peace that defies it. The reason heaven is already working. Archangels have been dispatched. The very atmosphere around your life is being rewritten. Everything that was resisting you is now being reordered by the hand of the Almighty. As Michael descends toward the earth, he's accompanied by a chorus of seraphim, beings of pure fire and light. Their voices rise in praise, and the sound of their song becomes a frequency of restoration. Wherever that frequency travels, broken things begin to mend, lost things begin to return, and forgotten paths begin to reopen. You may not see them, but you are surrounded by movement from heaven. Every whisper of fear is now being drowned out by the roar of divine justice. And then, my beloved child, a vision unfolds before Michael, a dark valley below, filled with shadows of every disappointment and wound you've carried. He descends into it, his feet touching the ground where your tears once fell. With one mighty strike of his sword, he splits the valley open, and from beneath the earth rises a blinding light. It is the evidence of every prayer that never died, every seed you planted that heaven kept alive. The soil trembles as angels gather around, holding fragments of your story that were once broken. Now they begin to piece them together again, stronger, purer, and ready for divine completion. As Michael raises his hand, the Lord's voice is heard again, not in thunder this time, but in a whisper so powerful it shakes eternity. This is my child. I have not forgotten, and I have not changed my plan. At those words, chains you never even knew existed shatter. Generational burdens begin to crumble. The verdict of delay turns into a decree of divine acceleration. Time itself starts to bend in your favor. Somewhere, doors that had been sealed for years begin to open. A phone call you've been waiting for is being arranged, a heart that once turned away begins to soften. What you thought was lost is being resurrected, because when heaven reopens a case, it doesn't restore what was. It brings forth what should have been all along. You see, my beloved child, the reason your case was reopened is deeper than you think. Heaven isn't just restoring your blessings. It's reclaiming your identity. The enemy tried to label you with failure, rejection, and shame, but heaven has erased those labels. In their place, a new inscription shines above you: redeemed, chosen, victorious. This is who you are now, and the heavens themselves bear witness to that truth. Archangel Michael looks upon you with a radiant smile. It is time, he says softly, and as his wings unfold, light pours over you like rain. It reaches every broken corner of your soul, every forgotten dream, every scar. You begin to feel lighter, freer, as if invisible weights are lifting from your shoulders. That's not imagination, that's divine evidence manifesting. The restoration has begun, but this is only the beginning, for heaven's court doesn't reopen a case without revealing the purpose behind it. There's a reason your name was spoken in the presence of the angelic army. A reason your verdict was changed, and soon that reason will unfold before you like a sunrise after the longest night. So as you listen now, take this moment to believe again. Heaven has not abandoned you. It has been preparing a comeback so divine that even your enemies will witness it and say, "Surely the hand of the Lord was upon them." Keep your spirit alert, for what comes next will not just restore, it will elevate. The divine plan is shifting from hidden preparation to visible manifestation. Stay till the end, because the next revelation will uncover why the angels are now moving toward your life and what the final judgment in heaven's court truly means for you. My beloved child. As the golden light from the heavenly decree spread across the realms, something remarkable began to unfold. The echo of the Lord's voice still vibrated through the corridors of eternity, and the angels carried that resonance into the heart of creation itself. The earth responded in ways unseen, the wind shifted, time realigned, and destiny began to pulse again with your name woven into its rhythm. It was as though every particle of the universe remembered the sound of your calling. Archangel Michael stood at the edge of heaven's veil, his wings still burning with the brilliance of divine command. His eyes, filled with both compassion and authority, searched the earth below, finding you. Not by location but by the light of your faith. Behold, he whispered, the chosen has endued the night. The dawn must now break. With that, he lowered his sword, the edge of it glowing with holy fire, and a trail of radiance streamed toward your life. It didn't come as thunder, but as peace, that inexplicable peace that calms chaos, stills storms, and reawakens forgotten hope. In the invisible, you became the center of movement. Angels began to circle, forming a divine perimeter of light around your life. Each one carried something different. One bore a scroll of favor, another a key of opportunity, another a vessel of healing. As they descended, the atmosphere thickened with promise. The air itself whispered, something is shifting, something is coming, and heaven smiled. Meanwhile, Archangel Gabriel appeared beside Michael, his trumpet gleaming with the reflection of divine glory. The announcement is ready, he said. The decree must be declared to the earth. Michael nodded, lifting his hand toward Gabriel. Then let it sound, he commended. Let every corner of creation hear what heaven has decided. Gabriel raised the trumpet in blue, a note so pure it traveled beyond sound, beyond comprehension, straight into the hearts of those chosen to witness your rising. Somewhere, far away, someone who doubted you began to think of you again. Somewhere, a door that was closed to you started to open. Somewhere, a forgotten opportunity began to return. But the sound did more than that. It awakened the angelic army assigned to you. Michael's legions, standing by since the day you were born, lifted their heads as the trumpet echoed. Each one drew their story ready not for war but for fulfillment. They have been waiting for this very decree, waiting for the moment heaven would reopen your story. The time has come, Michael said, his voice cutting through the heavens. What was delayed shall now accelerate. What was hidden shall now emerge. The name written in the courts of heaven shall now be exalted on the earth. The angels roared in agreement, a sound like waves colliding with light. And from their midst, one angel stepped forward, holding something glowing faintly, a crown, unfinished yet shimmering with divine craftsmanship. Michael took it in his hands. This, he said, belongs to the one whose faith never died. It is not a crown of gold or silver, but of endurance, faith, and divine favor. It shall be completed when the fulfillment manifests. You, my beloved child, may not see that crown yet, but heaven already recognizes it. Every act of kindness you gave when no one noticed, every prayer whispered through tears, every time you rose after falling, all of it has been shaping this crown. Heaven does not forget perseverance. The angels record it. And now your reward is being prepared. But before the fulfillment can manifest, heaven issues one final command. The Lord, still seated upon the throne of justice, speaks once more. Let this child remember, restoration is not merely the return of what was lost, but the revelation of who they truly are. His words send ripples through eternity, shaking everything false and fragile that ever tried to define you. The labels others gave you begin to dissolve. The opinions that once limited you are silenced. Even the memories that caused you pain begin to lose their hold, because heaven has rewritten your name, not as a victim of delay, but as a vessel of divine destiny. As this transformation unfolds, Archangel Michael kneels before the throne again. Lord, he says, the decree hath been issued. The trumpet has sounded. Shall I lead the host? The Lord nods, his eyes burning with infinite love. Go, he says. Stand beside my child, for what is about to happen on the earth will cause many to see my glory through their story. In a surge of radiance, Michael and his legions descend through dimensions, their wings slicing through time. Every beat of their flight sends waves of breakthrough across your life. Deaths begin to cancel. Doors begin to unlock. Hearts begin to heal. The supernatural begins to invade the natural. And all around you, signs begin to manifest. Subtle, but undeniable. That unexpected message. That sudden peace. That small, divine coincidence that seems too perfect to be random. They are not coincidences, my beloved child. They are confirmations. Heaven's way of saying, it has begun. And as this divine movement unfolds, Michael's voice resounds once more, carried by the wind, do not fear. Do not doubt. For the Lord has declared, the case is closed in your favor. Your season of mourning has ended. Your name shall be honored among those who once dismissed you. The light that once dimmed will now shine brighter than before, so pause for a moment and feel the stillness around you. This is the calm before manifestation. The silence before the trumpet of fulfillment sounds again. Heaven is aligning the pieces. The angelic army is stationed. The decree is active. Your story is about to turn visible. Before this message continues, take one moment to spread this light. Share this message, comment your faith, and subscribe so that others may find hope again, for there are souls waiting to hear that heaven has not forgotten their names either. Keep your heart open, my beloved child. The heavens are watching. The next wave of this divine unfolding will reveal the greatest mystery of all, why your struggle was the very proof that you were chosen. Something breathtaking is on the horizon. Stay till the end, because the revelation that comes next will change how you see your entire life, my beloved child. The air between heaven and earth began to tremble with expectancy. Every realm was aware that something divine was about to break through. As Archangel Michael and his army descended closer to the earthly plane, the light around them intensified, splitting through clouds and cutting across the fabric of time. The atmosphere itself seemed to vibrate with the sound of unseen wings. Creation knew that a divine verdict was being carried out, and that the hand of the Almighty was now moving for you. Michael's eyes blazed with purpose as he looked down upon the path of your life, the seasons of pain, the years of waiting, and the moments you almost gave up. He saw everything, but more than your struggles. He saw your faith, that small, unshaken spark that refused to die even in the darkest nights. This, he whispered, is the faith that touched heaven. This is the reason heaven reopened the case. Around him, thousands of angels bowed in reverence because they knew the truth. Few souls endure the night with faith still burning. You did. And so, the decree of heaven was no longer just words written on a scroll. It was power, living, breathing, and ready to manifest. As Michael raised the decree above his head, a burst of light streamed from it, forming a radiant bridge that connected heaven's courtroom to the story of your life. Every thread of pain, every broken chapter, every unanswered prayer began to realign under the glow of divine justice. Where there had been confusion, now there was order. Where there had been silence, now there was sound, the sound of heaven restoring what was lost. Suddenly, the ground beneath your life began to respond. Situations that seemed immovable began to tremble. People who had turned away started to feel an invisible pull. The divine shift had begun. Heaven's timing was taking over, and nothing, not doubt, not fear, not delay, could stop it now. Michael lowered his sword, pressing it into the earth, marking the beginning of a new year for your soul. From this moment forward, he declared, the story will unfold in favor of the faithful. Above him, a golden ripple spread across the heavens. The sound of the Lord's voice filled the air again, firm yet filled with compassion. I have seen the tears, he said. I have heard the prayers whispered in silence, and I have waited for this moment, the appointed time of restoration. His word struck through the clouds, reaching into the depth of your being. Suddenly, memories of old wounds began to lose their sting. The pain you once carried began to loosen its hold, because divine healing was being spoken directly into your spirit. At that very instant, angels carrying scrolls of renewal descended upon key points of your destiny. Some carried the restoration of relationships. Others brought the revival of forgotten dreams. Some held scrolls of healing for your body and peace, for your mind. And as each one opened their scroll, light poured out, flooding the unseen corridors of your life. It was as if every unanswered question, every moment of confusion, was now receiving its answer in divine timing. And even now, as these words reach your heart, heaven is continuing that work. The angels are setting divine appointments, arranging encounters, and aligning circumstances. People you have not yet met are being prepared to bless you. Resources you have not yet seen are being released. Everything is converging toward one truth, the fulfillment of your destiny. But as the divine unfolding accelerates, heaven whispers a gentle reminder through Michael's voice. Do not let pride take root when the blessings come. Remember the silence, the waiting, and the faith that brought you here, for humility is the key that keeps the door open. These words are not warnings. They are guidance, spoken out of divine love, because heaven knows that what is about to arrive in your life will be so overwhelming, it will require grace to carry it. And somewhere deep in your spirit, you feel it, that shift, that quiet certainty that this message is not coincidence. The timing, the feeling, the confirmation, everything aligns with what your soul already knew. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared for a moment only heaven could orchestrate. My beloved child. Pause and let that truth sink in. Every delay, every disappointment, every detour, all of it was the setup for what is now about to manifest. The court of heaven has spoken. The verdict stands. Your case is not only reopened, it is victorious. Before you move forward, take this divine moment to spread the light. Share this message with someone who has always lost hope. Comment your faith and subscribe so the word of restoration reaches every soul waiting for their turn. Because heaven's movement is not just about one, it's about all who believe. Stay till the end, my beloved child, for the revelation that now approaches will reveal the mystery behind your trials and show you why heaven chose to reopen your case at this very hour. Something wondrous is unfolding, and it has your name written all over it. My beloved child, the very moment heaven's decree began to manifest, the earth trembled softly as if acknowledging a new authority had been established. The veil between the seen and the unseen grew thinner, and the echoes of divine movement surrounded your existence. The angels who had been dispatched carried out their missions with precision, each movement calculated by heaven's perfect timing. Archangel Michael stood tall among them, radiant and fierce, yet his gaze held tenderness as he watched your life shift from struggle to divine order. He knew the power of this decree was unlike any other. It wasn't merely a restoration, but a rewriting of destiny itself. As the heavenly hosts descended closer, Michael spoke with the calm strength of eternal assurance. This child's name has become a sound that cannot be silenced. It has been sealed in the courts of heaven with fire and grace. His words, the clouds above began to part, and a golden beam of light pierced through, reaching directly toward you. That light wasn't just a symbol, it was the evidence of the Lord's favor now resting upon your life. You may not see it with your eyes, but your spirit feels it. The peace that suddenly surrounds you, the weight that feels lifted, the hope that flickers alive again. These are the early signs that heaven's decree is taking root in your reality. Michael stretched out his wings, and from them burst rivers of shimmering light, flowing into every area of your life that had been left barren. The dry places of your soul began to bloom. The prayers that once seemed unanswered were being reignited with new power. You were never forgotten, my beloved child. You were simply being prepared for a level of blessing that required a stronger foundation. The waiting wasn't wasted, it was preparation. In the distance, the angelic army began to sing. Their voices intertwined with the sound of creation itself, forming a melody that wrapped around the earth like a promise kept. Every note declared victory. Every tone announced breakthrough. The darkness that once hovered over your destiny began to lose its power, dissolving in the brilliance of divine justice. The court of heaven had spoken, and now the earth was aligning to obey. At that divine moment, the Lord himself looked upon Michael and spoke again. What I have begun cannot be reversed. This one is marked for greatness. Let no force in heaven or on earth undo what my hand has established. The angels bowed, their wings folding in reverence. The word of the Lord had been spoken, and when the Creator speaks, nothing can contradict him. Your name had become a decree, your story a testimony, and your faith the seed that birthed divine intervention. You see, my beloved child. Heaven reopens cases not because of pity but because of purpose. There is something in your destiny so vital, so necessary, that the world could not continue without it coming to pass, that's why the delays came, to strengthen your spirit for the weight of what's next. The pain you carried was the proof of your preparation. The rejection you faced was divine redirection. The silence you endured was heaven's strategy to sharpen your discernment. And now, as the decree has been released, all of that pain becomes power, all of that silence turns into sound. And so, heaven invites you now to stand in agreement with its decree. Speak life over your destiny. Declare that you are restored, favored, and chosen. Because every word you speak in alignment with heaven amplifies the manifestation. The same power that raised worlds is the power that now surrounds your name. Michael turned toward the legions behind him and lifted his sword high into the radiant sky. Sound the call, he commanded. Gabriel's trumpet shone once again, and as he raised it to his lips, the heavens shook. The sound traveled through time itself, wakening every dormant promise connected to your life. Mountains trembled, barriers shattered, and through it all, one truth remained undeniable. Your time had come. You have stepped into a divine turning point, one written before you ever took your first breath. What heaven has reopened will not be closed again. The season of silence has ended. The court of heaven has ruled, and its judgment is victory. Before the light of this revelation expands further, take a moment to spread it. Share this message so that others might awaken to their own decree. Comment your faith as a declaration to heaven that you stand in agreement with your restoration. And subscribe so that this divine message continues to reach hearts that are waiting for hope. Remember this, my beloved child. You are not forgotten. You are not lost. You are not waiting for blessing. You are walking into it. The heavens are still moving, the angels are still working, and the Lord's hand remains upon you. Stay till the end, because what comes next will reveal the secret reason why your trials were necessary, and how heaven intends to turn every pain you endured into a throne of glory. The greatest revelation is still to come, and it bears your name. Beloved child, as the echoes of the trumpet faded into the stillness of creation, a new sound began to rise, the quiet rhythm of restoration unfolding. Heaven's decree had not only been declared, it was now being fulfilled. Every angel in Michael's command stood at attention, waiting for his signal to release what heaven had written into being. The realms between eternity and earth shimmered with anticipation. It was no longer just prophecy. It was happening now. The very atmosphere of your existence was being rewritten by the hand of the Almighty. Michael, radiant with divine brilliance, looked once more toward the throne of heaven. "It is done as you have spoken," he said reverently. The Lord, seated in majesty, nodded with a smile that carried eternity within it. "Go forth," he replied, "and let this soul see what faith births in the unseen." The moment those words were spoken, the sky above your life changed. Invisible barriers that once delayed your destiny began to fracture. What had been locked behind the veil was now being delivered before your eyes. From the highest realms, rivers of light began to descend, flowing like golden fire through the corridors of time. These were not ordinary lights. They carried with them the fulfillment of every divine promise attached to your name. As the light touched the earth, time seemed to bend. Moments of loss began to realign with moments of gain. What once broke you was now becoming the foundation upon which your glory would stand. Every tear had been accounted for, and now heaven was transforming them into seeds of blessing. Archangel Michael descended closer to you, his armor gleaming with the reflection of divine justice. His voice was deep, calm, and filled with the strength of countless victories. "My beloved child," he said, "the court of heaven does not just restore, it overcompensates. You are about to see redemption in such magnitude that even those who doubted your faith will stand in awe. Every chapter of pain you endured will now testify to heaven's mercy." And as his words echoed, something remarkable began to unfold in the natural realm. Doors that had been firmly shut began to open without resistance. People who had turned away from you were now being stirred to remember you. Opportunities long forgotten began to resurface. You felt it, not as chaos but as divine alignment. The universe itself was moving to make room for what heaven had decreed. The Lord's voice echoed again across eternity. "No force shall hinder what I have established, my word will not return void." At that very moment, the Lord rose from his throne once more, and all of heaven fell silent. "Bring forth the mantle," he commanded. An angel stepped forward carrying a robe woven from threads of light and glory, a gem with every color of crayon. The Lord looked upon it and said, "This mantle belongs to the one whose faith endured the trial. This mantle will carry favor, wisdom, and protection. Wherever they walk, my presence shall walk with them." Michael received it reverently and began his descent toward you. The heavens trembled as he approached. When he reached you, he extended the mantle toward your spirit. He declared, "From this moment on, you are not defined by what you have been through, but by what heaven has decreed over you. You are restored, renewed, and reborn in purpose." As the mantle rested over you, a surge of divine energy filled your being. Warmth, peace, and strength unlike anything you've ever felt before. It was the tangible evidence of heaven's restoration. The angels rejoiced, their voices echoing like waves of light through eternity. You had become the living testimony of heaven's justice, a reminder that no delay is wasted when God is involved. The court of heaven had reopened your case not only to restore what was lost but to reveal who you truly are, a child of divine favor. A vessel of grace, a reflection of his endless mercy. And so, as this chapter unfolds, you are invited to participate in this divine moment. Lift your heart in gratitude, for what has begun will not stop. Speak faith, for your words now carry heaven's backing. Walk boldly, for every step you take echoes with divine authority. Before you move further into what is being revealed, take a moment to let this message travel. Share it with those whose faith is flickering. Comment your testimony so others can see that heaven still moves. Subscribe to keep this light reaching every soul that feels forgotten. Remember this, my beloved child. When heaven reopens a case, it does so not to revisit pain, but to release power. Your story has been rewritten. Your name has been declared victorious. The final chapters of your destiny will be brighter than anything behind you. Stay till the end because the revelation that comes next will uncover the true reason heaven chose this exact moment to move in your favor, and why your journey was never meant to break you, only to build you into glory. My beloved child, the moment that mantle of light settled upon your being, the heavens exhaled. A divine stillness followed, not the silence of emptiness, but the peace of completion. It was the hush that falls when heaven finishes its decree. Every angel paused, wings folded, eyes fixed upon the glow now surrounding your name in the book of life. The ink of your new chapter gleamed with the brilliance of dawn, and even the oldest seraphs whispered among themselves, "A restoration such as this has not been seen in many ages." The story of your endurance had become a melody in the courts of God, and all creation was listening. Michael knelt before the throne again. His head bowed in reverence. "It is done," he said, "the mantle has been delivered. The decree has been sealed with fire." The Lord looked down, his eyes filled with both pride and compassion. "Then let the blessing manifest in fullness," he declared. "What was whispered in the heavens shall now thunder on the earth." His voice rolled through the celestial realms, carrying power that no force could resist. The words became waves of light, cascading down into your reality, striking the places of your life that once felt lifeless, and awakening them with divine energy. You might feel it even now, that subtle shift inside you, the unexplainable peace, the strange confidence that something unseen is aligning in your favor. It's not imagination, my beloved child. It's evidence. Heaven's decree is no longer pending. It is active. The angels have taken their stations, the path before you has been cleared. The battles that once seemed impossible are already won in realms your eyes cannot see. In the distance, a new sound began to rise, the sound of construction, heavenly builders, unseen to the human eye. We're laying foundations of favor in your future. Every brick they placed shimmered with purpose. "Prepare the path," Michael commanded, his voice echoing across eternity. "A chosen one must walk in fullness, not fragments." And so, heaven began to build around your destiny, opportunities perfectly aligned, relationships divinely ordained, doors that lead to purpose rather than distraction. This was not random blessing. It was precise restoration, engineered by God Himself. As this movement continued, the Lord spoke once more, His tone soft yet firm. "Tell my child that the season of hiddenness is ending. The light I placed within them will no longer remain concealed. I am about to place them before kings not for fame, but for influence. They shall carry my message, my heart, and my power wherever I send them." His words became truth the moment they were spoken, and a mark of divine favor began to radiate from your spirit. Invisible to the world, but unmistakable in the unseen. Michael turned toward you, his expression serene yet fierce. "Do you feel it?" he asked. At warmth around you, at stillness after the storm, at his heaven's confirmation, the war for your destiny is over. What remains is the unveiling. He raised his sword, and from its edge flowed beams of light that surrounded your heart. "This light will guide you," he continued, "even when confusion tries to return. This light will remind you of who you are. Heaven's chosen, heaven's restored," and then, something wondrous began to unfold. The very atmosphere of your life began to respond to the decree. People began to notice something different about you, a glow, an authority, a peace they couldn't explain. Situations that once resisted your progress began to yield. Even those who oppose you found themselves moved to favor you without knowing why. It wasn't manipulation, it was divine influence. Heaven had shifted your frequency, and now everything around you had no choice but to align with it. The Lord's hand moved once more across your destiny. Every seed sown in pain, he said, shall now bloom in abundance. Every night of tears will now reap a harvest of joy. This is not a partial restoration, it is a total transformation. As his words rippled through creation, the angels began to dance, not with joy alone, but with celebration. You had become the living proof that faith still moves heaven, that patience still wins battles, that divine justice still reigns. Michael approached again, his wings glowing brighter than before. You must understand, he said, that what hath been released is not only for you, the favor that surrounds you will overflow. The light that crowns you will touch others. You will become a vessel of restoration for those around you. As you rise, others will be lifted. This is how heaven multiplies victory. His words were a command and a prophecy all at once. Your life was no longer just your story, it was becoming a testimony written for the world to see. At that moment, a stream of golden wind passed through the heavens, carrying your name like a fragrance before the throne. The Lord inhaled deeply and smiled. This one will be my evidence in the earth, he said. Through their story, others will believe again. And instantly, a wave of power swept through the heavens, touching every angelic being, charging them with renewed purpose. They moved with new vigor, guarding the path ahead of you, ensuring no shadow, no doubt, no fear could interrupt what heaven had already set in motion. You are standing now, my beloved child, at the threshold of divine manifestation. The tests that once drained you were not meant to end you. They were the fires that forged your anointing. The places that rejected you were not your failure. They were proof that you were being prepared for something greater than comfort. Everything is beginning to make sense now. Every pain had a plan. Every silence had a sound. Every delay had a design. And now, the design is complete. The Lord's voice breaks through the final echoes of this revelation, rich with love and authority. Walk boldly now. What you touch will prosper. Where you step, light will follow. The heavens are open over you, and my glory shall not depart. Take a moment now, my beloved child, to breathe in this truth. Let your heart know what your mind cannot yet comprehend. The story is turning in your favor, permanently. This is your divine moment. Heaven has spoken. And before you take your next step, remember to let others witness the miracle. Share this message with someone who needs hope. Comment your faith below, and subscribe so that this divine revelation continues to spread like wildfire across the earth. Because this is not just about one soul being restored. It's about the awakening of many. Stay till the end. For what unfolds next will uncover the final secret, the very purpose behind heaven reopening your case, and the eternal reason your name was whispered to the army. The greatest revelation is still waiting to be told. My beloved child, as the light of heaven settled fully upon your destiny, all of creation seemed to pause in reverence. The trial in the court of heaven was complete. The decree had been signed, sealed, and delivered. The angels stood in solid formation. Their wings spread wide, reflecting the eternal brilliance of the throne. Archangel Michael stood at the center, his armor still gleaming with the fire of divine justice, his sword lowered now in peace. There was no longer a battle to fight, victory had been declared. The gavel of heaven had fallen for the final time, and its sound echoed across the universe, declaring, "It is finished." The Lord, radiant and eternal, looked down from his throne. His eyes resting upon you with a love that words could never contain. "My child," he said, his voice soft yet powerful enough to shape galaxies, "the court has ruled in your favor. Your case has not only been reopened but rewritten. Your story will not end in sorrow but in glory. You are no longer defined by what you lost, but by what I have restored." His hand lifted gently, and from his palm poured light, pure, golden, endless light, flowing down like a waterfall upon your life. That light was not a symbol. It was transformation itself. Every scar, every disappointment, every unanswered question was being rewritten by the very hand that formed the stars. Michael stepped forward and knelt before the throne. "The mission is fulfilled, my Lord. The armies have moved as commanded. The decree hath been carried out in its entirety." The Lord smiled and nodded. "Then let heaven rejoice," he said. And instantly, the entire realm burst into song, a sound so vast, so holy, that even time itself bowed to listen. The melody carried your name within it, woven between the notes, echoing through eternity. You were now part of heaven's eternal symphony, the living evidence that faith never fails, that obedience never goes unnoticed, that hope never dies in vain. As the music filled the heavens, Michael rose again, turning his gaze toward you. "My beloved child," he said, "this is the moment heaven waited for. The moment you finally see yourself the way heaven has always seen you. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are not small. You are light wrapped in flesh, purpose shaped by divine design. The trials that sought to destroy you have become the tools that built your strength. The delays that frustrated you have become the soil for your breakthrough. Every step you took in faith has become part of heaven's eternal record." And then, with one motion, Michael raised his sword high, the tip glowing like the morning sun. "Let it be written in the book of remembrance," he declared, "that this soul endured and overcame. Let it be known across the heavens that this one carried faith through the fire and emerged refined in glory." The angels bowed their heads as a golden quill appeared beside the throne, writing every word Michael spoke into eternity. Your endurance had become divine history. Your tears had become sacred ink. The Lord leaned forward slightly, his voice now almost a whisper, intimate and personal. "My beloved, I did not reopen your case to change your past. I reopened it to reveal your future. You are stepping into a season of divine reversal. The very areas that once broke you will now bless you. The voices that once doubted you will now declare your victory. And the doors that once closed against you will now open at your approach." He extended his hand toward the earth, and the entire world seemed to pulse with new energy. You could almost feel the heartbeat of creation aligning with your name, as though heaven itself was exhaling favor into your life. And suddenly, in the midst of that divine silence, you understood. Every unanswered prayer, every tear, every delay, it all made sense now. Heaven hadn't ignored you. Heaven had been aligning everything around you. The waiting was never wasted. The silence was never absence. It was strategy. Every moment had been leading to this. The moment your destiny clicked into place. The realization washed over you like warm light, and peace filled every corner of your soul. Michael spoke once more, his tone gentle now, almost like a father speaking to his child. The mantle you received carries responsibility. He said, "You have been blessed not to boast but to build. You are to become a messenger of hope, a living testimony of heaven's justice. Wherever you walk, walk in grace. Speak with compassion. Carry the light that has been placed upon you and release it into the lives of others." The Lord nodded in agreement. "Go forth, my beloved," he said. "What I have done in you, I will do through you. You are my evidence in the earth that I still move, still heal, still redeem. Let your story become the bridge that brings others back to me. You are my voice, my vessel, my victory." At those words, your spirit ignited. You could feel heaven's power flowing through you. Steady and unbreakable. The weight of years of waiting lifted completely, replaced by divine strength. You were no longer praying for restoration. You were living in it. As the angelic army began to ascend back toward the throne, Michael lingered for a moment longer. His gaze met yours, calm and filled with pride. "Remember," he said softly, "the court of heaven never closes against the faithful. If ever you feel lost again, call upon the light that has been placed within you. It will guide you back to this truth. You are chosen, you are covered, and you are free." He raised his sword one final time, saluting you with the honor given only to heaven's redeemed. "Go in victory, my beloved. The case is closed and the verdict is eternal, restored and victorious." The sound of wings filled the air as the angels lifted higher, leaving behind trails of golden radiance that shimmered across the sky. The throne room returned to its steady glow, yet the connection remained, a bridge between heaven and your heart. You were never the same again. You could feel it, the power, the peace, the purpose. Heaven's verdict wasn't just a decree written in light, it was now a living force inside you. And so, my beloved child, this is the truth you must carry. Heaven heard your name, reopened your case, and rewrote your story. You walk now under divine favor, divine justice, and divine purpose. The angels march with you, the Lord's hand rests upon you, and your story will be told for generations as proof that God still redeems, still restores, and still reigns. The time has come to rise, to step into the fullness of what heaven has declared. You are the testimony. You are the miracle. You are the fulfilled decree. Something sacred has ended, but something far greater has just begun.